While the world looks to the Mediterranean for Atlantis, a more intimate tragedy is resting right now just beneath the surface of the English Channel. This is Lyonesse. Known in Spanish as Lyonesse, it was a territory of sprawling stone cities that stretched from the rugged cliffs of Cornwall out to the Isles of Scilly. Medieval accounts describe a massive scale for the Lost Kingdom, claiming it housed 140 churches and highly developed urban centers. To stand at Land's End today is to gaze directly at the roof of a drowned civilization. Folklore remembers Lyonesse as the jewel of the Atlantic, a fertile, prosperous island nation of ancient forests. It holds a central place in the Arthurian romances as the birthplace of Tristan, serving as a bridge between older pre-Christian traditions and the emerging codes of knighthood. This entire culture disappeared from the map in a single night of fire and water. Centuries of early records suggest the Arthurian legends are a heavily distorted record of an actual physical catastrophe. The investigation shifts when we look past the poetry to early medieval chronicles, like those of William of Worcester. These texts document a territory called Lyonesse, a stretch of dry, prosperous land that once existed between Land's End and the Scilly Isles. The people here were industrious Romano-British citizens who watched their world literally sink. The Saxon records of this land aren't poetic inventions. They are inherited, generational memories of a very real disaster. These legends served as a survival mechanism for a population processing the sudden disappearance of their homeland beneath the tide. In the late 5th century, a sudden, violent surge swallowed all 140 parishes instantly, in an event known as the Great Inundation. Folklore tells of a local lord named Trevelyan, who supposedly survived the wall of water by outrunning it on a white horse. Local fishermen still claim to hear the bells of the drowned churches ringing beneath the waves during heavy storms. Survivors carried the memory of this ecological devastation across the channel, where the story began its long transformation. Over centuries, the horrific reality of Lyonesse evolved into the romantic Lionés, cementing a natural disaster as a cornerstone of Western literature. For hundreds of years, the historical ocean kept its secrets hidden, limiting the reach of traditional archaeology. The only physical evidence available was the dangerous Seven Stones Reef and the appearance of petrified tree stumps during exceptionally low tides. The fleeting nature of these sightings allowed the scientific community to categorize the entire region as a geological fairy tale. Until now, the understanding of this disaster was limited by what the waves chose to reveal. In 2026, the reliance on accidental discovery is fading as we move into a phase of systematic underwater measurement. High-frequency bathymetry allows us to pierce the silt and map the sharp, unnatural geometric shapes of the seafloor without waiting for the water to recede. These modern mapping tools are finally bridging the gap from legend to science, bringing the drowned kingdom back to the surface as hard data. The resurrection of Lyonesse suggests that ancient myths are not childish fairy tales, but vital, encoded warnings passed down by those who survived the end of their world. British folklore describes a prosperous, ancient kingdom of 40 parishes, supposedly swallowed by the Atlantic Ocean. They called it Lyonesse. For centuries, science categorized these accounts as romantic poetry or fishermen's ghost stories, viewing the sunken kingdom as a literary invention rather than a physical place. Modern ocean mapping instruments are now returning anomalies that contradict that dismissal, identifying features that do not occur in nature. The investigation has shifted from the analysis of historical texts to marine geophysics. Researchers use satellite mapping and acoustic sensors to strip away the water and examine the true topography of the seafloor. The search for Lyonesse has evolved into a data-driven mission to map a submerged geological reality. The physical evidence begins right here, in the shallow coastal waters of Mounts Bay. At low tide, the receding ocean exposes an environment that existed thousands of years ago. Findings from the Lyonesse project identified massive tree trunks preserved within the tidal zone. These are remnants of oak and hazel trees rooted in submerged peat. They are an in situ forest, proving that this entire area was once dry, stable land, long before the sea violently rose to claim it. Thermal imaging and modern scanning have identified stone field boundaries stretching from the current shore directly into the ocean. These mapped boundaries provide a physical blueprint of a managed landscape, aligning with historical chronicles describing a densely populated agricultural region. This immediate coastline contains an intact, drowned world, providing the first proof of a lost geography. Miles off the coast lies the Seven Stones Reef, a hazard long referred to as the City by local mariners. To map these hazardous depths, researchers deploy remotely operated vehicles equipped with high-resolution sensors to explore areas too dangerous for human divers. Bathymetric data reveals that the reef is a massive, flat-topped plateau rather than a jagged natural rock formation. Sonar identifies geometric anomalies on this plateau, including rectangular foundations and the remains of a massive defensive wall. The ROVs have recovered direct evidence of human construction from the site, such as stone blocks featuring distinct Celtic knot carvings. This geometric data and the recovered masonry prove the Seven Stones Reef is the submerged remains of an urban center. Researchers are now investigating the deep water channels that separate the modern islands of Scilly, looking for a geological connection between them. 10 meters of marine sediment currently masks the history of the ocean floor, hiding any artifacts or structures beneath a layer of sand. Deep silt core sampling allows researchers to penetrate this layer, extracting data from the sediment to see what lies beneath the current seabed. Sub-bottom profiling has detected clusters of man-made objects buried deep within these sediment layers. These 2026 excavations recovered Romano-British pottery and iron tools from the channels, providing a clear timeline for when this land was occupied. By compiling this sub-bottom data, archaeologists have mapped a continuous paleo-landscape, a valley that connected these islands into a single landmass during the Arthurian era. This data provides the geological proof that Lyonesse was a connected landmass that suffered a permanent inundation. The evidence collected from the shorelines and the deep channels confirms that Lyonesse is a documented chapter of Britain's lost history. The Arthurian legends and local myths of drowned churches appear to be grounded in the memory of this real, devastating environmental collapse. Whether it was a hub for Atlantic trade or the birthplace of legends, the physical reality of the kingdom is undeniable. Through the application of modern data, the lost world of Lyonesse is being fully mapped. The stones are finally speaking.